Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another scene for the living world of darkness. Rage across New York. We're in here on the Sept of the Green. 10 Point has ambled out, getting the gist that the Guardian shifts are going about like so. Dallas went on shift about yay long ago, and so she has migrated over to the closest veil protected edge, to where Dallas has gone off to get herself some coffee and is patiently waiting, like the good girl, for her to meander back across the veil.
Well, as Dallas walks up that pathway or that sort of trail that only seems to appear when Ken and Garu seem to walk by it and disappears just as quickly. Dallas cuts right off of one of the main paths that's fairly obscured by trees and walks through the ivy that seems to part as she steps through a thicket and walks into the veil-protected part of Central Park with a oversized orange mug in hand that is got a mountain of whipped cream on the top, which Dallas is currently milking in her own way because that was great. And it stands to mention that maybe the kinfolk barista at the coffee shop might be a little bit perturbed with her because he was like, "Ma'am, you can't take the mug. All right, just bring it back, or don't. Whatever."
Yeah, she slips through this greenery and this tomfoolery, and she finds a perched Metis. Not right on the edge where she's gonna get startled and punch her and spill her coffee, because that would be unfortunate, and that is not what either of them needs in their life right now. But she'll be perched just easily within sight, obviously, alertly waiting, ears pricked forward.
Dallas kind of stops, looking at 10 Point. Can I help you?
I just wanted a chance to speak with Uriah.
Okay. And she'll walk over to a log log bench and sit down on it, and she'll take a huge bite out of the mountain of whipped cream.
As is the right and proper thing to do with a mountain of whipped cream. And yeah, 10 Point will ease over, kind of do the slink, because they're not moving that far. And we'll perch back down on the ground rather than on the bench near her ankle. You seemed upset last night, Raya. I just wanted to check on you.
Upset in a sense, I suppose.
It was a very strongly felt jumble. It was hard to pick apart. I'm not as accustomed to your thoughts as feelings as I am to Aiden's.
It was a mix of a lot of emotions, 10 Point. Karina came back to the city last night after being gone for almost 6 weeks. And at first I thought I wasn't going to be able to leave the bond, and we communicated through the only medium we had available to us, Owen's tablet. And then I was reminded that we are allowed to go to the outer perimeter, the streets just around Central Park. She'll look over at 10 Point with this kind of awkward smile. Are you sure you want to talk about this? Last few times I've talked about this sort of thing, you've gotten uncomfortable.
For what it's worth, she's got that kind of alert listening pose. She's just kind of comfortably plopped and has the big old ears swiveled forward. If there are sordid details, they're not necessarily my business, Raya, but I want to understand how you feel.
Are you sure that's what you want?
I think I have grown enough, Raya.
Dallas shrugs, and she kind of focuses her link to 10 Point, and she brings the mug up to her lips, and she just kind of starts a series of sips out of it. And as she does, she begins to reminisce just about everything that matters about her and Karina. The meeting and the instant attraction for her attitude, sass, and forwardness, the very strong type A alpha personality, the first time they went out together, when they went swimming, when they shared a kiss for the first time, to the night at the gym, which led to a night in private. And Dallas doesn't go into detail there other than the initiation of it. She saves the behind the curtain stuff for herself. She's not sharing that with 10 Point.
That's okay. 10 Point doesn't want it. You can have it. I assume that she's got her walls down enough that there's like emotional overtones to the memories.
Yeah. And then, going to a few more of their meetings before finally, the incident with Darcy where Darcy threatened Karina. And the sudden wash of white-hot rage. The fact that Dallas, despite Aiden, had considered just ripping out Darcy's throat then and there, and only restrained herself out of loyalty to Aiden. And then the deafening or the just hollowing sensation of Karina's absence. And then comes the Skype call from the previous evening, and then the meeting up in front of the coffee shop of the two where they made a public spectacle of themselves, trading shirts and whatnot right there on the street. But moreover, it's the sensations and the feelings. Dallas finding a kindred spirit in Karina, someone who is just as strong as her in attitude and physical ability, and battle prowess. And somebody who, when they let their walls down and are open, they're awkward and sappy and just two people who are not completely well adjusted to normal society having normal society type emotions. They are both as awkward as can be about that. And just the sensation of when Karina said that Dallas had something to come back to, and how much that meant to her. And that was the point that Karina won her over as far as cementing their relationship with one another. And all of that comes through over the course of, 10, 15 minutes as Dallas recounts each and every memory, minus the bedroom parts.
And yeah, 10 Point is not at all shy about essentially mentally just reaching out. It's, I guess, the equivalent of mental hand holding, pretty much. She kind of reaches out and looks for what's being offered up, it's being projected, and as a result, she'll get kind of distant. She'll get a little stiff physically as she kind of stops focusing on her physical body at all, really, so that she can be properly awash in this. Though there will be several points that she kind of pulls back. Most comically, probably being that initial kiss, she kind of pulls back the mental touch, kind of like as if it burned her, but doesn't stop watching. Just doesn't immerse quite as far in certain parts of it. But she'll ride through it. She won't duck out. To her credit.
At the end of all of that sort of montage, so to speak, then comes the wash of emotion that she felt last night, and that Dallas has never had a reason to fear death. It's always been ingrained in her that to die glorious on a battlefield is the greatest thing, the greatest feeling that one can have. And though she is Get, she has trained with them and proven herself worthy to the Fenrir, that Fianna blood in her responded to the fact that this sensation of love that she felt for the first time in this way is undescribable for her. She's never had it this way before. And for her, the thought of losing that is terrifying, and it's working at cross purposes with her tribal identity.
10 Point will ride this out as well, less flinchingly than the more romantic, sappy moments, which have, especially when they get even a certain point intimate, she has to pull back from a bit and has to space herself off from. But this she understands, and so she'll ride all the way through. And when the ride's over, is emitting something of a not even sympathy so much as proper empathy, particularly towards the end, because this is something she understands very deeply. And when she finally comes around enough to start moving, will lean in and plop her gigantic head on Dallas's lap. It's frightening, Raya, to realize you're not ready to die.
It's not a sensation I'm used to.
You are doing better than I did.
In what regard?
Sorry?
In what regard?
Oh. The reasons are different, Raya, but I have spent my whole life preparing to die, waiting to die, until this pack, until these Rayas. My only purpose was to die in place of a proper guru. And when I took my scar, I realized, and it scared me, that no matter how many times I said it, I was not ready to die. I had things that I wanted. I had things that I wanted to do. Things that I could not accomplish if I died. And I struggled badly. But there's no shame in having a reason to live, Raya. The Get, they teach you to die gloriously. And if you must die, die gloriously. But this person that you care for, this person that you want to live for, just remember that Stack's children have taught you that these are why you fight. They're the reason for going on the field in the first place.
It's not just her. Not only her. To be honest, I don't know what would happen if something were. If I were to lose you, Aiden, Banshee, Balian, Felix, Saoirse, even Skavgard. I haven't been complete before. I haven't been in a position where I've had family like this. I haven't been in a position where I've had friends like this. And I've never been in love. I don't know if it's just something inborn in Stag or it's just something that every Garou has, and I'm just not good at dealing with it.
I cannot speak for the other tribes, Raya, but your bloodline, our people, we always feel so deeply. And it is our strength and it is our weakness. The people that you care about are the reason you fight. And you fight damn well so that you can come home to them afterwards.
I try and fight well so they get to come home too.
Exactly.
She finishes the cup and sets the mug down, or finishes the hot chocolate and sets the mug down. And she just reaches over and pats 10 Point on the knee.
I mean, she's just got her head plopped in your lap.
Oh, okay.
She's laying. She's like plopped on the ground, and it's just laid Big Crino's head in her lap.
Then yeah, Dallas is at this point she sets the cup down and she's just stroking the sort of that cross section across the brow of her head between the antlers.
And she mellows some, relaxes some. Your loved one's the reason that you should go on to the field, not a reason to stay off it, Raya. There's no reason to fear the battle, because if we did not go to them, they would come to us, and it would be so much worse.
I'm aware of that, 10 Point. Remember when I first met you?
Yes, Raya.
And I told you that do in your life the greatest thing you could do?
Yes, Raya.
Here we've come somewhat almost full circle. And I can honestly say that at this point, I would be willing to give my life for yours.
And while the sentiment is jarring, the result, especially with an open link going between them, is a flood of the shock and gratefulness and very clear affection and care for Dallas. It's a painfully honest thing to feel what she's feeling. I never thought I would be so lucky, Raya. To have proper family. And every time that you go on the field, especially without me, it kills me a little. But we must do what we must do.
Dallas smiles and she pats 10 Point on the head. And then stands up, gently nudging 10 Point out of the way, not like just being like, get the fuck off.
No. She, feeling even the impulse of the desire to get to her feet, will go ahead and tuck her head back sitting back up properly.
I'll be out there on the battlefield regardless of how I feel.
I know you will, Raya.
It's just the jitters that I have for the first time. Apprehension.
If it
Not
helps,
something I'm used to.
it does get better, Raya. It never goes away, but it gets better. And you are not the only one. And if it is ever overwhelming, Raya, I am here. I am a thought away.
I know.
And she'll do something comically domestic and admittedly can't do it with the top of her brow because it's goring and antlers. But she does lean over and kind of nuzzle. I guess at her height it would be like at hip level or something, maybe rib level for a perched Krynos. But yeah, it's just a brief gesture of affection.
And Dallas receives it and repays it in kind with just sort of a ruffling of 10 points ears. And she sort of shifts the mug in her hands and gives 10 Point a courteous nod before making her way back in towards the set.
And 10 Point won't make it weird. She does in return does the opposite of a nod, just a slight upward tip of the chin because it seems more polite. Cursory throat bare. But will promptly turn about and move in another direction, just kind of ambling on all fours and Krynos because it's easy and she's lazy. And with that couple respectively tromping and jingle jangling away from each other, I dare say that's a fine place to say thank you, players, for playing and watchers for watching. We'll see you next time on the Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.